Story 1. How a human found peace in the face of death. Death emerged from the shimmering vortex, a sigh escaping his lips. This was decidedly not the serene corner of Africa he had hoped for. The air was alive with the cacophony of chirping birds, humming insects, and distant wails of various creatures, creating a symphony of life that grated on his preference for silence. Death cherished tranquility. It fostered a more peaceful transition for his clients and for himself. But where was his client? Ah, yes. Follow the desperate cries and seek the stark red aglow against the lush green. That method never failed. His client, a two-legged being, stood about half a meter shorter than him, with a layer of fur that evolution seemed intent on shedding. Death had escorted many of these beings before. He had witnessed their ascent from the trees and their eventual descent. It was a fascinating journey, but then again all life intrigued him. Nature was the ultimate artist. Yet there was something peculiar about this one. The creature lay sprawled on the ground, clutching its right leg. The appendage was grotesquely broken, with jagged bone protrusions piercing through the skin. Blood pooled beneath it, a stark crimson pool on the verdant earth. And yet it looked directly at him. "Ah, you can see me. That's curious," Death remarked. The creature's eyes widened in fear. "Who are you?" It reached for a nearby tool, some rudimentary weapon, Death surmised. Remarkable, Death thought. It should be far too weak to attempt any defense. "Oh, how dreadfully impolite of me," Death said with a whimsical smile. "I forgot to introduce myself. Hello. My name is Death. I've come to escort you." "Thank the gods. I thought help would never come. What tribe are you from? I've never seen your kind before." How fascinating. It possesses abstract thinking, capable of grasping life and death as concepts. It sees me, yet no one has taught it who I am. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding," he said gently. "I am Death. I haven't come to aid you. All aid is too late. Your life has concluded. I am here to guide you to what lies beyond." "What lies beyond?" The creature looked up, hope flickering in its eyes. "Is life there easier than here?" Death's smile softened. "I'm afraid you misunderstand. There is no life beyond life. Beyond life is, well, beyond life. Yes, but is it better there?" "It is not much of anything. Beyond life is the void, non-existence. There are no rivers of milk and honey, nor lakes of fire. Beyond life is nothingness. You will simply cease to exist." The creature crossed its arms defiantly. "Then I'm not coming. You seem to be under the false impression that you have a choice in this. You do not. No one eludes death." The creature gave him a determined glare. "I can try, can't I?" Death chuckled, a deep, resonant sound. "You can certainly try. It just won't avail much." Death extended a skeletal hand towards his client. An arrow embedded itself in his palm. Death examined the arrow, lodged neatly between the metacarpal bones. His smile faded. "You have quite the aim, human, but it's futile." Another arrow struck his face, clattering harmlessly to the ground. Death's expression darkened. "As I was saying, human, it's futile. I am Death. You cannot kill me. I am immortal." "What would that even mean, killing Death? Do you expect me to escort myself into the void?" "It's possible." The human notched another arrow. Death made a swift gesture with his hand. The arrow halted in midair, then disintegrated into dust. Another gesture, and the same fate befell the bow. "Look, this isn't how things are done. I am Death. Life does not resist me. I am an inevitable aspect of it. Animals, plants, fungi, microbes, they all succumb. Everyone dies, and so will you. You have no choice in this. The only decision you have is whether you come peacefully or if I must drag you into the void by force." "Force it is, then." The human picked up a remaining arrow and hurled it like a spear. Death sighed as the arrow bounced off his form. "I understand that I might seem menacing, but I genuinely strive to maintain a cordial relationship with my clients." I know the void appears daunting, but it needn't be. Your life has reached its end. If you resist, you will merely prolong the agony. The human glanced at its mangled leg, wincing, then met Death's gaze with steely resolve. The pain will fade. It won't, human, Death said, his patience waning. Even if your leg did heal, the pain will remain. The suffering will persist. Life is full of pain, loss, and hardship. My role is to end that suffering, to bring peace. You resist not because you want to live, but because you fear the unknown. But there's nothing left for you here. The human's eyes flickered, torn between the instinct to survive and the overwhelming pain. But what if there's more? What if there's something better after this life? Death knelt beside the human, his skeletal face solemn. Hope is the most potent force in the universe, but it's also the most dangerous. It can blind you to reality. There is no paradise beyond, no eternal reward or punishment. There is simply an end. Tears welled up in the human's eyes. I have family, friends. They need me. They will grieve, yes, but they will also find strength and move on. They will live their lives, and one day they too will meet me. It is the cycle of existence. You cannot change it, only accept it. The human's defiance slowly crumbled, replaced by a profound weariness. Will it hurt? They asked us, voice barely above a whisper. No, Death said softly, his voice almost tender. It will be like falling asleep, peaceful and quiet. You won't feel a thing. The human nodded, tears streaming down their face. All right, I'm ready. Death extended his hand once more, and this time the human took it. As their fingers intertwined, the world around them seemed to blur and fade. The pain vanished, replaced by a warm, soothing sensation. The human felt a profound sense of calm and acceptance wash over them. Thank you, they whispered, their voice fading. Death smiled gently. You're welcome. Rest now. With that, the human's form dissolved into the ether, leaving behind only a faint, shimmering outline. Death stood, brushing the dust from his robes. He looked around the now silent forest, the cacophony of life continuing as if nothing had happened. Another soul guided to peace. Another end met with dignity. Death glanced at the horizon, where the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the landscape. He had many more souls to guide before the day was done. With a resigned sigh, he turned and vanished into the twilight, ready to fulfill his eternal duty. Story 2. All I ever hear is, what if? Thomas sat in the passenger seat of the shuttle as it made its way to Mining and Research Output P Alpha, a place built long before Thomas was even born. Established as the unified solar government ruled, no mining of objects visible from the occupied worlds was permitted, especially after the Helium-3 mining scar that now marked the moon's far side. He was ostensibly here just for a standard inspection, ensure the lone crewman who lived and operated the station was following protocol, though it was because of weird readings the site's AI had sent. Reports that the man was up to something odd. Why the company even sent a lone crewman always confused Thomas. Humanity being such a social species, prolonged isolation seemed more detrimental to profits than sending another few crew. Regardless of his personal opinion, he could see the station now. It was a sight he had seen countless times. The company often just used the same flat-pack station that could be easily assembled regardless of the environment. However, it was his first time seeing the one that was furthest away. Docking procedures beginning. Please collect all belongings from the shuttle before disembarking. The ship's automated system was announced through the speakers. With a loud hiss and metallic clank, the airlock slowly opened to reveal a man standing there with his arms out as if ready to embrace Thomas in a hug. Dr. Jack, I assume? Who? The man asked, tilting his head. Never been a Jack here, might be the other guy. Other guy? Thomas repeated, only to see the mischievous grin. Yeah, it's me, the one and only Dr. Jack. Forgive the humor. I rarely get a chance to talk to people who aren't on a screen. Gesturing to allow Thomas to step past him, he spun on his heel and began to lead the way. I just noticed, but the gravity feels off here. Shouldn't we be almost bouncing? Ah, experimental gravity field generators. Part of the research I'm working on while here, Jack explained, doing a little jump, can only manage 0.9 G, which might be why it feels just slightly off, he added, pinching his fingers close together. So I am here to inspect the helium-3 production systems and the Kuiper Belt mining drones. Hearing this, Jack turned to face Thomas. Be honest, please. The air filters aren't good at scrubbing bullshit. Pardon? I know why you really are here. I have not missed my quota once, even between experiments. I have sent back numerous reports detailing all the maintenance and projected fuel manufacturing. I have even reported when the bloody kettle stopped working. Thomas paused a step, shocked to see Jack's vitriol towards the kettle issue. Sorry, about that? British and tea and all. He gave a light-hearted chuckle as if to brush his outburst under the rug. So why do you think I am here? Thomas asked, wondering if a psych hold might be best for the doctor. Simple because Gertie went and told teacher about me. Thomas paused once more to look at Jack. He was under the impression the message the AI had sent was well encrypted. To think he was aware of it worried him. Ah, you didn't know I read it. It is simple enough when you have endless free time. What is a month spent decrypting when you have nothing better to do while automated experiments do their thing? So you know Gertie identified anomalies? Ah, yes. That is how she worded it. A smirk grew on his face. Between us, I think Gertie wants me to succeed. Succeed at what? The big announcement. Announcing what? Thomas pressed as he moved his hand towards his stun boulder. That we are here, of course. Retreating half a step back towards the airlock and the now idle shuttle, Thomas drew his stun bolter at this outburst. Doctor, please explain. You know of the Fermi paradox, right? Thomas nodded. Everyone nowadays knows about it. The idea the universe is so vast that the possibility of life not existing was statistically impossible. So where is everybody? Jack asked. Thomas did not have an answer. No one did. The best suggestion that he even submitted to was the Great Filter. Maybe the Great Filter. No, I do not accept the Great Filter. Even if there is a point in a timeline, all species may wipe themselves out. Infinity is too large not to have endless species. Jack explained agitatedly, pacing back and forth. Then I don't know. Thomas paused to take a deep breath to calm himself. Can we calm down a bit and discuss this like civilized people? You are the one who drew his weapon, Jack pointed out. Conceding the point, he holstered the stun boulder. My point is that even with a filter, we should still have been inundated with at least a little something. Thomas nodded, hoping to keep the clearly broken man from any further outbursts. So what about the dark forest then? Thomas paled, now realizing his meaning. The dark forest was the idea all advanced species feared discovery. The analogy is we are all hunters in a dark forest, and the moment someone makes a noise, the hunters will all shoot. So when you said announce, you meant you planned to declare our existence to the universe? Jack nodded with a genuine grin. Exactly. We will shout out to the universe, here we are, and we are friends. Thomas watched as Jack spread his arms out, as if to accept rapturous applause. Surely you know about the ordinances, the laws the USG put down? Oh yes, the no unshielded communications. It is a shame they bought so into the idea we are rabbits surrounded by wolves. Listen, it's not too late. We can just put this up to some void fever and get you some treatment. You don't need to go ahead with this. You mean this? Jack asked, gesturing to a podium with a large red button that began rising from the floor. Thought it would be more dramatic, he explained with a bashful grin. Immediately drawing the stun bolter once more, Thomas took aim. Please, I don't want to do this. I understand, but why are you so opposed to the idea of announcing us to the universe? Why is everyone? Well, what if they are all dangerous beings? What if we are enslaved or destroyed? What if announcing us brings calamity? What if? What if that is all I ever heard when I discussed this with others? But let me ask you this. What if they are friendly? What if, like us, all species have empathy that transcends species? He paused to take a deep breath as he finished with a whisper. What if everyone is just too scared to take that first step? I understand your frustration, but this is illegal. I will shoot if I must, Doctor. Shoot if I do this? Thomas watched as Jack moved his hand towards the red button, only for him to fire a stun bolt and send the doctor into spasms before collapsing to the floor. We will get you the help you need, Doctor. Sure you will, he replied through gritted teeth. I'm sure our friends amongst the universe will also love to help. What do you mean? I broadcast the day after Gertie sent the message. That red button is just for a disco light settings I installed to amuse myself. So, oh God. Thomas paled. The dark forest silence had been broken. You know, Doctor, if they do end up being violent enemies, your name will go down as one of the greatest villains, if not the greatest humanity ever produced. Heh, I will accept that. But I believe whatever comes if it does, we can befriend it. If that does happen, I will be declared a hero. You really have gone crazy. Maybe, but it is the maddest of our species that boldly takes those steps forward. Story 3, Humans Are Psychic? Walking into the lab, Hoon could see a few of the researchers working away at their projects. They mainly studied other races the Republic had encountered over the centuries. However, the main focus of current study was one of the latest species found, a race from a planet named Dirt that called themselves humans. Ah, hello, sir, Pross said, looking up cheerily. How goes the psychic studies today? Somewhat confusing if I can be honest, sir. The humans seem to all have varying levels of psychic powers. Oh? This intrigued Hoon. The biological scans of volunteers showed they had none of the neurochemicals needed to be able to. So to be told otherwise would be a breakthrough indeed. Yes, sir. It is fascinating. I even have a chance to interview one such subject. Would you like to observe? Hoon considered the offer before nodding, thinking this would be an excellent chance to witness such an example. Following Pross to the interview room, he split off to the observation room adjacent. Inside, he could see the human. It was a colmoid-shaped being with 2 pairs of limbs and a head from a central body. Welcome, human, Pross said as he sat down. Thank you for having me, though I will say you've misspelled human in your documents. But I guess it may be a translation thing. It phonetically is correct enough. Thank you for informing me. I shall send a message for corrections, Pross said with a slight bow of his head. We are here today to assess your psychic ability. Yes, it did seem like an interesting study, though I look forward to enlightening you very soon. You said for you to properly read me, sure, you would need me to answer an in-depth questionnaire. Yes, that is right, the human replied with a nod and a grin. It is an all-around personality analysis. Any human with that data can extrapolate your personality. Then this one looks forward to your analysis. Shall we begin? In response, the human nodded and took out a form. This confused Hoon. He was aware psychics could gauge vague feelings of others, but to have such a document spoke to a higher level of detail. Okay, first things first. Prost, you are an independent thinker who takes pride in doing things differently than others. By the spirits, that does seem true. We also could see, while you do have some weaknesses, you always try to overcome them to the best of your abilities. Prost nodded along, but behind the observation window, Hoon began to pale. Such accuracy was unheard of among psychics. If humanity could achieve such responses with atrophied mind transmitters, then how would they fare with them improved? You are also often as generous as you can be when it is possible, but you also sometimes feel like you could be more generous. Indeed, this one does regret that it cannot offer more to others, Prost replied, nodding. Seeing this, the human nodded before putting the form on the table and sliding it across. Okay, feel free to read the rest and tell me how accurate it is. Then I will enlighten you. Looking down at the document, Prost read it, though his ear flaps twitched as he went through. Human, this is incredibly accurate. To think your race was capable of such genius, mind read. Prost stopped at the human, signaling for him too. Prost, I must confess something. I will first start with an apology. My race has no psychics. We thought, how could we share our understanding with you? Someone suggested we play a little trick. The trick? Prost echoed, confused. Yes, you see that form in front of you is not an analysis of your answers. It's not? No. In fact, when I ran this test on my own students, I gave them each an identical copy of the document you have in front of you now. Surely you jest. They are all so accurate and specific to me. Sadly, no, they aren't. Prost, they are all vague and generalized statements that can apply to nearly anyone. It's a thing called my people call the Barnum effect, that we connect to vague statements that we think apply to us, when all they are just vague. So there are no psychics, none that can be proven in a scientific environment. Seeing Prost become more and more distressed, Hoon stepped into the interview room. Now see here, human, we do not appreciate this deception. I understand you are upset. Standing up, the human approached Hoon and put a hand on his shoulder. I'm sure with everything else going on, this is only adding to your stress. Hoon audibly gulped. He had told no one of his family troubles. How did the human know? How could he see unless the humans were covering up their true psychic might for some reason? I'm sure it is a deeply personal thing. Family? Yes, family can be a great source for stresses. How did you know it was my family? Because you told me it's all another trick. What I'm doing now is called cold reading. I again made a vague statement, and your reaction told me it was accurate. But how did you know it was family-related? Family is often something people worry about. We humans do have psychics of a sort, but they are tricksters, charlatans, and performance artists. They use magicians' tricks to guide you into revealing things with only your body language. Prost and Hoon shared a look. They had tried studying psychics for years. Many of the races they examined all had similar natures. Many came from social races, but the best explanation was brain chemistry. But now this human was revealing that it may have all been a trick. Human, are there no supernatural powers then? The human in response shrugged. Couldn't say. It could be everyone is using the same tricks we do. It could be there is an extra sensory power. Could just be good old super advanced technology. Would you assist us with our research then? Hoon asked. Sure, I don't see why not. I'm sure I can make the amazing Randy proud across the stars. The amazing Randy. Guy was a magician who very much disliked the people who use these tricks maliciously. Prost paused in thought for a moment as he looked the human over before raising a hand to get his attention. I meant to mention this earlier. You have mages.